This is Jay with Breakdancing Robot. We're here with Erik Larson, one of the founders of Image Comics and creator of Savage Dragon, which is one of my all-time favorite books.
As well it should be.
So,
I'm just going to interrupt the whole time.
Going back, like, you know, here we're, gosh, almost 20 years in the Image at this point?
19.
19, yeah. What was it like in the beginning, like starting out? Like, you guys were, a bunch of you came from Marvel and, you know.
No, it was pretty crazy early on.
Yeah.
It was the Beatles. Those are the crazy days.
Nice. And so where'd your concept for Savage Dragon come from? Like,
well, you know, this character I came up with when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade.
Nice.
So he was like a little kid came up with this, and basically he was a Batman ripoff. And you can't really tell now, but at one point you can imagine that this was a mask opening here, and he was wearing a green costume, and that there was a big green cape, and that was just a mask.
Okay.
He would pull, and then I just got lazy, and I didn't want to draw the mask anymore with a cape, so I was just like, I'll just make it. That's the way he is.
That's just the way it is.
And then that's kind of the early origins of Dragon. And so I drew him all through grammar school and high school. And when I was 19, me and a couple buddies published our own fanzine called Graphic Fantasy, and I printed that up and distributed that to anybody who would put up with it. And then from there I started getting some early professional work, and one of them was for a company called Megaton.
Okay, yeah.
I co-created a character called Vanguard with Jared Carlson then. And then we reintroduced the dragon there, and then I started getting other work, and I was eventually doing stuff at Marvel and at DC, and then when we all left, it was like, well, that's the character to do, because I've done this guy before, and I want to do this guy's character today.
Nice. So going from artist to editor-in-chief for Image for a while and all that, and then now back to just, working on a book, monthly, what's it like been for the ride? Like, just...
it's been, I mean, every part of it's fine.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, quitting my day job was pretty much the best decision I've ever made.
Nice.
Because the burden was definitely there being the publisher at Image. And then, as soon as I stepped away from that, I was able to get my book back on track, and it's monthly again, and just everything's kind of hitting. And whereas when I was the publisher, it was like, oh, I gotta deal with this and deal with that, and sweat the details. And I think, I'm proud of the time that I put in as a publisher, and I think we did some good books and got the company headed in a good direction. So I'm happy with that. But I'm really happy to be back to just doing comics again, because that's what I got in there to do. I didn't want to be an administrator when I started. I wanted to be a comic book creator.
Awesome.
So I'm having a ball.
I've enjoyed having Savage Dragon back monthly and stuff like that, so we appreciate it. And then Herculean came out.
Yes.
Awesome book. We actually had to make room for it on the shelf because of the larger format.
I know, it's a weird size and weird format.
But totally awesome. What made you want to do a retro style comic? Like,
it's just I just love comics from kind of all over and all ages.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do I had done this 24-hour comic, and I had this 24-page, 24-hour comic that I'd drawn, and I wanted to color it because it's a superhero thing, and I always think superheroes should be in color. So at some point I sat down and I was like, I'm just going to color this thing out. And I was kind of inspired by just different old comics and looking at the way different things were colored over the years. And there was, like, issue 1 of the Hulk, way back, somebody had just put out an omnibus of the Hulk. And they showed, like, how the first issue was actually colored. And there was a huge amount of knockouts in it where they just, like a character would just be colored flat red, and the background would be blue. And it was like, that looked cool to me. So I was like, I want to see what that would be like to do a whole story where at maximum one panel would have natural colors, and everything else is going to be knockouts throughout it. There's one point in this book where there's like 4 pages in a row where nothing is colored the way it's actually supposed to be colored. And I just thought visually it was going to be a really interesting way of going about it.
Awesome.
And it turned out really, really nice. So I was like, I got to put this in print. I want to put it somewhere. Originally, I was just going to slot it into an issue of Dragon at some point.
Yeah.
But then I was like, this deserves its own book. So I took that, and I took all the stories I'd done in Popgun over the years, put those in there, and then I was like, this will be a great book. It'll be a 48-page book. And then when I counted it out, I realized I was 6 pages short of what I thought I had. So I did 6 new pages of new stories for the book.
Awesome.
And so now it's this cool one-shot where it's like everything I've done over the years that's not Savage Dragon.
Awesome.
And it's all in one place, and it's in color, and it looks great. So,
well, it looks awesome, and I bought it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So great. Well, we'll stop taking up your time and let you get back to talking to other people. So thank you very much for your time.
You're quite welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.